Hey everyone, Sumo Spiffy here. Welcome to day 4 of Fantasy Week for Hatsu 2023. Yesterday's game was Hoshitori, where we picked 13 guys who we think are going to have winning records. Today's the opposite, Upside Down Hoshitori, where we are going to pick 13 guys we think have losing records. As you can see, this game is almost as old as Hoshitori. These games have been around for a long time. I do want to acknowledge something though. I have been saying that these games are all new to me. I thought they were. However, as I poked around the records to look for information, I found this. This is the banzuke that they keep. A lot of the banzukes for these fantasy games, they try to move people around as in a real banzuke, so that you move relative to everybody else. There's only one person in each rank. Here, they just use it as a general ranking system. The better you do, the more you move up. Many people can hold a certain rank. But if you look down at Jury 01, it's Beef Tank. It's me. How the hell did I get there? Did I play this game before? I genuinely could not remember ever playing. And then I looked through things a little bit more and I found this. Beef Tank. Best newcomer. This was from Natsu of 2022. I played in May. I had no idea. I try to keep up with all the games that I've been playing, so if I start doing it, I want to do it each time. I completely forgot that I had ever done this. In fact, in my brain, I still don't remember actually doing it. I just see all the evidence, including the entry form. It sends you an email once you've put in your picks. That exists. It's in my email, but I have no recollection of doing any of this. Anyway, I'm back. Hi, everyone. So let's just move on from this, get into the rules, and start playing the game. All right, here are the rules. First, if you haven't already won, the English on some of these websites is not great. There are a lot of non-native English speakers that run these games. It is what it is. You should be able to figure everything out. Create a Shikona, a ring name. It should be Japanese sounding. Well, I kind of broke that rule. Now, I guess Beef Tank, because it's not, it's not filthy or anything. That's fine. If your name is going to be My Balls is Hot or something, I doubt that's going to be okay. So don't do that. Select the 13 Makuuchi Rikishi and 2 alternates you expect to have the fewest wins this basho. You should arrange them very carefully as not every loss will count the same. Let's look at the entry form to see what they're talking about. So much like yesterday's, there's a spot for your name, your email, and then your 13 picks. There is only one spot for a 6-pointer. Then there's 2 for 5s, 4s, and 3s, and then 3 slots each for 2s and 1s. So you really want to get the guys right at the top if you can, because they're going to be worth the most points. And then there's 2 alternates. Now the alternates work a little weirdly. Let's go back to the rules and look at that. So first, let's just go through the basic rules. There are 39 points per day possible. A loss can add 1 up to 6 points to your score. We just saw that. Submit your entry. Bonus points? No, apparently there are no bonus points. The total number of points accumulated by your 13 choices will be your score, and the highest score wins. The points are converted into an equivalent record. That's how they compare everybody to everybody else. Your selections are supposed to be active on the first day. So on some time ago, a few years ago, Takayasu had a tournament, I think it was him, where he was out the first 2 days and then came back. So he would not be considered an acceptable choice because he wasn't active on day 1. Later absences will count as a loss. The Kyokai does, so do we. What this sounds like is that if you're one of your guys is Kyujo, this is a good thing, right? It's going to mean that you are going to get all the points for all the losses they pick up along the way. If one or more of your selections isn't listed on the day 1 pairings, they'll be replaced by the alternates. The alts will take the place of the non-starters. There will not be a moving up of those who are behind the non-starters. So if your 6 drops out, the alt takes the spot. Easy enough. Alt 1 takes the highest open slot, 2 the second highest. If you don't have enough alts to fill up the empty spots, the empty ones will count as 15 win Zensho. So you don't get any losses because there's nobody in that slot. So what this appears to say, and I've read it a couple of times, just because it's really strange, it's not the way most of these games work. If you pick somebody who is Kyujo for the whole basho, so like if you put Teruno Fuji and Ichi no Joe in your lineup because you're like, aha, they're not even fighting, I'll get 15 free losses, they'll get taken out and replaced by your alternates. But if somebody goes Kyujo in the middle of the tournament, then your alternates will not take their place. You will get the Kyujo losses. It's unusual, but okay, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. So if anybody was a real injury risk, then we should consider picking them a little bit more. All right, that is really all the rules. They don't have, points for Maki Koshis, penalties for Kachi Koshis. They don't have bonus points for anything. It's purely the points per day. That's your whole score, and you don't have to think about anything other than collecting losses and putting the highest loss guys in the highest slots. So let's bust out the banzuke and get to work. Okay, we're setting it up just like yesterday. We've got the banzuke on one side so we can mark it up, and then we got the picks on the other side so we can put them in place as we go. The easiest way to start, I think, is going to be to take out all of the picks that we thought of yesterday for Hoshitori. So if we think they have a good enough chance at a winning record that they were good enough to consider as picks for that game, there's no way we should consider them as good enough picks for this game, right? Well, we'll see if that's how we feel as we go along. But let's start with this. So Terano Fuji and Ichino Joe obviously can't be picked, because they're out of the tournament, so they would just be replaced by the alternates. There's no point in doing that. Takakeisho, Hoshoryu, Wakataka Kage. I'm gonna leave Takayasu as a very theoretical question mark here, because, injury risk. Hey, Kota no Waka, Kirabayama, Wakamoto Haru, Meisei. We considered all of these: Abi, Nishiki Fuji, Ryuden, Hokuto Fuji. Now that I'm thinking about it again, I thought he had a pretty good chance at having a winning record, but who the hell knows? He's one of those guys that's like 70% chance to have a winning record, but 50% chance to have a losing record. The math just doesn't make sense with him. Oho, we obviously want to leave him out. Onisho. He can have a losing record here, but he is good. Ura, we picked him, so we don't want to put him there. Hirota Umi seems like he's got a great chance at a winning record. We don't want him there. Look at who we've got left. After this, let's just knock out Takayasu and Hokuto Fuji. We have enough, but we still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. We have to pick 15 out of these 24 guys to have losing records. Granted, 2 of them will be alternates, but that's still a pretty significant percentage. What I noticed, I went back over the entry that I put in back in May, and because I finished with like 322 points as best I could calculate. The winner had 370, so I did okay. I only had one pick with double-digit wins, so I only had one really bad pick. I only had one guy that went 9-6. Everyone else was 8-7 or worse, or better for our purposes. So you don't need to have all the losers in the banzuke in order to have a good chance at winning this. You just got to try and avoid the ones who end up doing really, really well. Also worth noting, this is a very marginal thing, but the first tiebreaker is which player has the most losses. So if you've been leaning more on your high point guys, but overall your team has fewer losses, you would actually lose a tiebreaker. But the odds of tying anyone are not great, so that's not super important. Okay, who do we think is a gimme to have a losing record? Well, Mitoryu is 0 for 1 in Makauchi runs. Azumaru is 0 for 9, so they are right in there. Ichi Yamamoto, this is where the whole 8-7 isn't that bad thing comes into play, because even when he's been on really good runs, he still hasn't been able to finish better than 8-7, so he's a pretty good choice. Tsurugisho, I've said that I think he can beat a lot of the guys around him and maybe get off to a good start, but if that happens, there are going to be a lot of guys who can then smack him down. So I'm just going to go with good picks and then 50-50s, because it's really hard to call. Takara Fuji, I'm going to put him at 50-50, but I do think that, so his skill level is enough that he should be able to womp all over these guys, but his physical status is questionable enough that it might stop him from doing that. he had some bad losses in the last Basho. It wasn't just because he was overranked relative to where he's at now, and at the bottom of the division, he's going to kick ass. It was not good. It was hard to watch. I do not think it's a given he's going to have a winning record, but he's still too good historically to see him as an automatic loser at the bottom of the division. Chiyomaru is very 50-50. He has enough of a track record in Makuuchi, just surviving here, that I think with this competition around him, he has a decent chance of having a winning record. Kota Shoho, I do not like him as an option here, so we're gonna X him. Kotoeko, I don't like him as an option here, we'll X him. Okinoumi, I'll go 50-50 with him. Kageyaki, same thing, 50-50. Chiyoshoma, I mean, Chiyoshoma is basically 50-50 to get a winning record or a losing record, no matter what his rank is. Tochi at 11, this is the kind of time where he would really, I'm sure, like to get a few wins, bump up a little bit, give himself a little more padding, keep the career going. Is he going to be able to do it? You know, who the hell knows? Aoyama, another 50-50 for the same reasons as Tochi. Endo, like at this level, he should be able to win, but sort of like Takara Fuji, just because he's at a level where he should win based on what we've seen in the past doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to do it. Takano Sho, I don't like it. I don't like it. Mitakeumi really depends on his health. I think a lot of people are going to see him as not likely to have a losing record because he's lower ranked. Oh, he's out of the Sanyaku. But I keep saying, his schedule isn't going to be that much different. His schedule has not changed much because he's still in the Joy. If anything, the start of the tournament is going to be harder. Now, what could advantage him, because he has started strong and then faded, if rest helps his injury so that he does better at the start, he might be able to get some wins against tougher competition, and then as his body fades, the competition decreases a little bit. That could work out in his favor, but without really knowing his status, I think he's a 50-50. Tobizaru and Daisho are the epitomes of 50-50. Tamawashi, God, I don't know what to expect from him. Midori Fuji, probably not a great pick. Sadano Umi, no, I think Sadano Umi could. I think Sadano Umi is going to go 7-8 or 8-7. Like, that is very, very likely. Nishikigi definitely could end up with a losing record here. He squeaked just close enough to the Joy that if he gets thrown into a couple of spare matchups with Sanyaku guys, that could be all the difference. Miyogiryu, again, man, there's so many 50s. There just aren't that many real gimmies here. And Shodai's a 50. Okay, so this was not the right approach, apparently. All right, let's get Mitoryu, Azumaru, and Ichiyamamoto on the board, because they're at least safe. So Mitoryu, definitely number one. Definitely the number one guy here. Azumaru and Ichiyamamoto. See, well, I guess I'll put them at the 5s, because if I'm sure they're going to have losing record, but I'm not that positive about anyone else, then even though I think other people might be more capable of shitting the bed harder than those two will, this seems like a safer play to put them in the 5 spots. Who do we go with next? Okay, Shodai is probably a genuine 50-50. Tamawashi, genuine 50-50. Mitakeumi, maybe we leave him out. But if we pick too many guys at the bottom, we're really kind of blowing our chances here. I did some math, and I can't remember what it was anymore, so I'm going to bust out the calculator and just do it again. Okay, calculator. So if we had 8 losses on everybody, right? 8 losses on every guy means you'd have 8 times 6 and then 2 8 times 5s. So you have 48 for the 6, and then 80 for the 5s. 8 times 4 is 32, so 64 for the 4s. 8 times 3 is 24, so 48 for the 3s. 48 for the 2s, because there's 3 of them. And then 8 times 1, 8 times 3 is 24. So plus 24. So that's 312. So that's not bad. If 322 finished 17th, and 312 doesn't seem to be bad. The winning score does seem to swing a lot. So the reason I'm bringing this up is if I just took everyone from Aoyama on down, that's 13 guys. That's 13 guys. It might be the safest play, unless I'm really sure that everybody in the bottom are gonna on average do better than certain guys towards the top. Well, who at the top is likely to falter? Where this gets tough is that because Abi is in the Joy, he's a lot less likely than it seems to fight guys like Sadanoumi, guys like Nishikigi. Myogiryu is probably off the table, even though they're only a few ranks apart. But Myogiryu is going to have to fight Ryuden. I think he'll have to fight Nishiki Fuji. Hokuto Fuji, that's not necessarily a bad matchup for him. See, Myogiryu is at this point surrounded by enough difficult competition that I think he might be in a bad spot. I don't want to put him too high up, but I think he's a reasonable choice. So let's mark him. So where do we put Myogiryu? I don't think he's a good pick at number 4. I'm only landing on him because I'm looking at the top guys. Let's make him a 2. And the fact that I'm making him the bottom 2 doesn't mean anything. It's just a 2. Midori Fuji. Yeah, I don't think he's a good choice. Sadanoumi is so 50-50. Nishikigi, I keep feeling like he's not going to do that well because he hasn't done that well in the past, but then Sadanoumi was not that good for a while, and then all of a sudden he made it up here and he's been sticking around. So can he find ways to win? Probably. What happened to Tamawashi last time? Why does Tamawashi go good, bad, God mode, and then shit? Like, I don't know. What are the odds that Shodai actually pulls off a Kachikoshi here? I mean, it's the same competition. I should be thinking of this the same way as Mitakeumi. If Mitakeumi has a pretty good chance of failing, then Shodai has a decent chance of failing. But I'm also not convinced either one of them is going to. Also, Mitakeumi's troubles are physical and Shodai's are mental. Do you want to try and get in ahead of Shodai? Ugh, that's not fun. Yeah, Tobizaro Daisho. You know, I think maybe I just play this as the guys at the bottom. I just go with them. So if I'm going to do that, who do I want to pick where? So I've got Myogiryu, so I've got 9 slots left. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, perfect. Who goes where? I think Endo goes in a 1. Chiyomaru goes in a 1. I actually don't like him that much as a pick here. I actually don't think Chiyomaru is gonna have a losing record. I really don't. I'm gonna X him. I don't think he's gonna have a losing record. So who do I replace him with? I might replace him with... I think I'm gonna replace him with Mitakeumi. I know Shodai seems like more of a gimme, but Shodai is just good at screwing up everybody's plans. So we're gonna put him in Mitakeumi in his place. Tsurugisho, I think we'll make a 2, because I don't think he's gonna do that badly. Not against this competition. Takara Fuji makes more sense as a 3, because if he's gonna fail pretty hard. Endo, yeah, Endo's the 1. I think Aoyama is a 4, because he's got to go up and fight Onisho and Oho and Ura. I think that's tougher for him. Chiyoshoma he might have to fight Onisho, but it's not going to be that bad for him. So I think he takes the other 1 slot. Tochinoshin, I feel like Tochinoshin's going to get an 8 win score, but I can't think of anyone else to replace him with, so we're going to put him as a 2. So who do we have left now? We've only got 2 slots remaining, and that's Kageyaki. Ooh, do I really think Kageyaki's going to fail? He might. Like, last tournament was very surprising, but the competition level is still not all that. So it's Kageyaki and Okinoumi. Oh boy, do I want to put Okinoumi in here? 7 and 8 is very plausible for him, though. It's very plausible. Yeah, Okinoumi. Let's do it. And Kageyaki, if Kageyaki's figured something out and this is his competition level, I think he's going to get another winning record. So who do I replace him with? Shodai. I think we just go Shodai. We continue not believing, and if Shodai decides to stick around as an extra Sekiwake and we end up with a whole bunch of people in Sanyaku forever and ever, amen. It is what it is. Let's run with it. Who are our alternatives then? Maybe that's where we put Chio and Kageyaki. Do we? No, I know what we're gonna do. Here's what we'll do, because it's not really gonna matter. Chiyomaru and then Takayasu, just in case he breaks down completely. If these alternatives were gonna come in if somebody left the Basho, it would be different, but you know, this is probably meaningless, so we'll go with that. This is our team: Mitoryu at 6, Azumaryu, Ichi Yamamoto at the 5s, Aoyama and Shodai at the 4s, Okinoumi, Takarafuji, Okinoumi and Takarafuji at the 3s, Tochinoshin, Tsurugisho, Myogiryu at the 2s, Endo, Chiyoshoma, Takayumi at the 1s, Chiyomaru and Takayasu as the alternates. And those are our picks for Upside Down Hoshitori for Hatsu Basho 2023. That's 4 down, 3 to go. I'll see you tomorrow with game number 5. Until then, have a great day.